How are you guys doing? Today is Friday, May 27th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to do a quick review of the 2021-22 all defensive teams, as this was, of course, recognized by the media and the selection committee that decides that these were the best 10 defensive players in their respective positions in the NBA. I think this is a very impressive bunch of players, as one of these players has been named the first backcourt defensive player of the year in a very, very long time. Not to mention that one of these players was also named to the All-NBA team, just to give you a sense of the players that are being acknowledged, as these players definitely deserve their credit for being recognized as some of the best defensive players. Of course, sitting at the very top with the most amount of votes was Marcus Smart. The guard for the Boston Celtics would be very instrumental in helping them finish with the second best record in the East, tied with the Bucks and the 76ers. And going into the playoffs right now, they are the team that's currently leading Miami 3-2. And of course, Marcus Smart is a very big part of that. He was named the Defensive Player of the Year, as he had 99 first-team votes. As with this season, Marcus Smart will be named to the All-Defensive Team for the third time in his career. As all times he made the All-Defensive Team, he made the first team. After not making the team last year, prior to that, he did make the first team in 2020 and in the year before that in 2019. And of course, sitting right behind him, making it for the first time in his career, was Mikal Bridges, as Mikal Bridges was a very instrumental wing defender for the Phoenix Suns team that finished with the best record in the regular season. They would go on to the playoffs, so they would beat the 8-seed Pelicans and then lose in 7 to the Mavericks, who went on to lose to the Warriors last night in the Western Conference Finals. Just looking at how this is the first time Mikal Bridges has really received an accolade of this level from the NBA, as many people were really aware of the defender that he's been. He did play all 82 games, and he did average at least a steal a game. Like I said, he did what was needed to help his team, as he did go on to finish with 95 first-team votes. Sitting behind them in votes is the former multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year out of France, Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert, the elite starting center, is the player on the all-defensive team who's made it at least to probably the most first-team all-defensive teams. This is the 6th year in a row that Rudy Gobert has made it to the all-defensive first team, dating back to his 2017-18 season. That was, of course, or I guess they're going back to his 16-17 season, which is just his 4th year in Utah. He will go on to play 66 games for a Utah Jazz team that would finish with the 5th best record in the West. They would go on to the playoffs just to lose in 6 to the Dallas Mavericks. This season, he would go on to average 2 blocks a game, and he did go on to lead the NBA in rebounds per game this year. As Rudy Gobert, just being 7 feet tall with a 7'6" wingspan, he's really been able to use that to his advantage, and he has established himself as one of the best defensive players to ever play. And this also being a season in which he would average less than 20 points a game, but still go on to be named an All-Star for the 3rd year in a row. Should really give you a sense of how Rudy Gobert's game has really kind of been maximized, as this season just a show of his consistency. But sitting right behind Rudy Gobert in votes for the All-NBA team is the only player that's on the All-NBA defensive team and on the All-NBA first team as well, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the only player who this year was named, who was unanimously voted to the All-NBA first team for 4 consecutive years. Giannis Antetokounmpo, at age 27, is a history-defying two-way basketball player, as he will be very instrumental in helping the defending champs Milwaukee Bucks finished with the second best record in the East, tied with the Celtics and the 76ers. This season, he was one of 4 players this year who averaged over a steal and a block, as this would be the 5th time that Giannis Antetokounmpo has made an all-defensive team. This is the 4th year in a row that he's made the all-defensive first team, as the other time he made the second team back in 2017 when he was named the NBA's most improved player. This is also a season in which he was named to the NBA 75th anniversary team as the youngest player. And of course, this season is one of the reasons why Giannis is and will be regarded as one of the greatest basketball players to ever play. And just being first team all defense today is nothing short. I mean, averaging 1.1 steals and 1.4 blocks alongside 30 points and 12 rebounds and 6 assists is crazy. But that's just Giannis Antetokounmpo. That crazy for us is normal for him. And then, of course, the last player occupying that first team spot, making it for the very first time in his NBA career, is Jaren Jackson Jr., the power forward for the Memphis Grizzlies, was very instrumental in helping them finish with the second best record in all of the NBA. They would go on to win their first playoff matchup against the 7 seed Minnesota Timberwolves, just to lose to the eventual Western Conference champs, Golden State Warriors, in the second round. This season, Jaren Jackson will go on to play 78 games, a career high for him. He will go on to average 2.3 blocks per game this year, as he actually led the NBA in blocks per game. And he nearly averaged a steal per game, as this would be, of course, the 4th year in a row he's averaged at least a block. 3rd year in a row he's averaged at least a block and a half, to give you a sense of how well. Because Ja Morant was the only Grizzly who made the All-NBA team. He made the All-NBA team for the first time this year. And Jaren Jackson making the All-NBA defensive team, I think, gives Memphis Grizzly fans a lot of hope looking in the future. But of course, Jaren Jackson rounds out that amazing top 5. And then taking a look at the players that were named to the all-defensive second team, the player that finished just 1 vote below Jaren Jackson and finished at the very top at the all-defensive second team was Bam Adebayo, who is regarded as a forward for this, but is usually played as a small ball center for the Miami Heat, who finished with the best record in the Eastern Conference, as they finished 2 wins ahead of the Celtics, Bucks, and 76ers. Right now, their season has taken them to the Eastern Conference Finals after they beat the Hawks in 5. They would then go on to beat the 4-seed 76ers in 6 in the second round. Right now, they are trailing 3-2 to the 2nd-seed Boston Celtics at this moment. But looking at how Bam Adebayo's played, he's played 56 games, which is a career low for him, but he's averaged about 19 points, a career high for him. He's averaged 10 rebounds. The second year, he's averaged a double-double. He would average 1.4 steals and just under a block per game. This is the 3rd time that Bam Adebayo has made an all-defensive team, as this is the 3rd year he's made the all-defensive second team in a row, going back to 2020, which would give you a sense of the consistency that he's bringing into this season. And he's a very big part of the reason that the Heat have been able to last this long into the playoffs. And then finishing with less votes than Bam Adebayo in this was Jrue Holiday, the starting point guard for the Milwaukee Bucks, as he would go on to be instrumental in the Bucks finishing with the 3rd best record, or the 3rd seed in the East. They would go on to beat the 6-seed Bulls in 5 games in the first round, before they eventually lost to the 2-seed Boston Celtics in the second round. For Jrue Holiday, this would be the 4th time that Jrue Holiday would make an all-defensive team, as he had the last all-defensive team. He made the all-defensive first team last year, the year where the Bucks would go on to win the title. The last time he made the second team was 2019, and in 2019, that was back when that would be his second to last season on the Pelicans. But of course, this season he would go on to average 1.6 steals per game, as he's averaged over a steal per game over the last, 13 years of his career. That's how long he's played in the league, as Jrue Holiday has been a model of consistency, especially on the defensive side. But of course, finishing with less votes than Jrue Holiday finishing with that third spot on the all-defensive second team was Matisse Thybulle, the wing defender for the Philadelphia 76ers, would be named to his second all-defensive second team in a row, as he would be a big part in helping the Sixers finish with the 4 seed in the East. They would go on to beat the Raptors in the first round in 6 games before losing in 6 games to the first seed Miami Heat in the second round. This season would see Matisse Thybulle average at least a steal and over a block for the second year in a row. His 1.7 steals per game is a career high for him. This is the third year in a row he's averaged over a steal in his 3-year career. Just to give you a sense of how consistently well he's been playing, at least on that end. I do think that he is a player that's going to be making more than these two all-defensive teams. And then, of course, sitting right under Matisse Thybulle is Robert Williams, the starting center for the Boston Celtics, and the player who really is the difference in this Celtics series against the Miami Heat. This is the first time that Robert Williams has been named to an all-defensive team. This is his 4th season in the league, as he's played 61 games, a career high for a Boston Celtics team that finished with the 2nd seed. This is his very first season being a full-time starter, as he started 13 of the 52 games last year, and in this season he would go on to average 2.2 blocks per game, after he was still able to average at least a block per game in his 3 prior seasons coming off the bench. So this should give you an idea that now that he's a full-time starter and he's made it to the second team all defense, Robert Williams can definitely be a player that can be a defensive problem. And then, of course, rounding out the defensive team is the most tenured player out of the 10, Draymond Green, and he's also the only player so far out of the all-defensive team who is already punched their ticket into the 2022 NBA Finals. Draymond Green would go on to play 46 games, which is the career second low for a Warriors team that would finish with the 3rd best record in the West. In the regular season itself, Draymond Green would go on to make his 4th All-Star appearance, as this would be the 7th time he made the All-NBA defensive team. The last time he made the defensive first team was last year in 2021. The last time he made the all-defensive second team was all the way back in 2019. But just to give you just like a hint, I mean, Draymond Green has continually shown that he's one of the most sound defensive technical minds, considering he's 6'8" and he's able to cause this much havoc. Think Dennis Rodman with less with less action, but Draymond Green has definitely been that level of he's definitely been a model of consistency at the defensive position, and I think that alongside Rudy Gobert and even Giannis, Draymond Green is a player that kind of occupies that top tier of consistent defense. But with that said, that's everything I have for you today. And of course, I want to congratulate all 10 of these players. And of course, the weight that you hold on these awards, of course, depends on you. But to be regarded by a consortium of media and have them come down to you being one of the 10 players, it is a huge accomplishment. It is a huge honor. But of course, I do want to take this opportunity to congratulate them. I hope all is well. And of course, good luck to all players next year that are, of course, going out to compete for these finite 10 spots. With that said, I do want to thank the ESPN and NBA websites for giving me all the facts and figures, because I would not be able to do this by myself. I don't know these numbers offhand, but I do want to thank everyone for listening. I hope all is well, and I will catch you with more tomorrow. And I do have a profile after this. So thanks for listening, and I'll catch you with more. Thanks for listening to my piece. I'm James Sims. Peace out.